Okay, so hello. So I'd always imagined that I would get baptized. Growing up in a Christian family, it was less a case of if and much more a case of when. Me and my brother definitely once baptized each other in the swimming pool on holiday, on a campsite, somewhere in France. He looks really embarrassed, but it happened. That was always a thing. And I quite happily attended church pretty much every Sunday. And I really hope that going to church always has and always will be a big part of my life. Then about a year ago, I got a new job, which meant I was at work most Sunday mornings. I missed going to church, so I began to attend a new church in the evenings. It was different, partly because the man at the front wasn't my dad. But it also gave me a great opportunity to begin to carve out my own faith and find out what believing in Jesus meant for me. Don't get me wrong, Six Ways was always definitely my home, and I wouldn't have it any other way, but I found I was able to explore faith on my own terms, without the stress of whether the microphones were working or whether I had enough sheets for junior church. And basically, what I realized was that I'd sort of put God into a box, and it was quite a small box, and I let God out on a Sunday morning, or I prayed when I wanted something to happen. But what I now know is that God can't do very much when he's in that box. And as I let God out of the box, I realized that things started to shift. I began to realize what God had already done in my life and what he could continue to do. I began to see the light that he could shine into moments of darkness. And I began to understand that he has a plan for me, and that if I put my trust in him, he can do great things in my life. I began to find new meanings in the hymns and songs I'd sung all my life. And I began to realize that following Jesus wasn't just some ticket to heaven. It was about finding purpose, peace, and a promise. 3 Ps. A sense of purpose that shows me that I'm here for a reason. A sense of peace that enables me to deal with life's difficulties. And a promise that God will always be there for me. Ultimately, I realized that, quite simply, Jesus was everything I've ever needed and more. And that I didn't want to keep him in some sort of small box. I wanted to have him play a huge part in my life, and that's about saying that to everyone today. But with all that said, I still couldn't decide when to get baptized. I convinced myself I was never ready. My lovely dad has asked me many, 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 many times whether I was ready to get baptized, and I avoided the subject. My lovely friends have heard me talk at length about whether it was the right thing to do. And essentially, what I've concluded, or at least what I hope, is that there's no perfect time to get baptized. As a self-confessed perfectionist, that's hard, but I've realized that Jesus doesn't want a finished product. He doesn't want a polished, squeaky clean, fully fledged Christian, and that's definitely not what I am. He wants us in our broken, messy states, which is quite good because I'm quite good at being a mess. And so today, I don't take this step as a perfect Christian because that's not what I'll ever be. Instead, I'm taking this step as someone who knows that a life filled with joy and grace and purpose and peace and hope and light and love is what I want for my life. And I want the world to know that too.